Hello, hello. There, I'm just gonna adjust. Hi. I am so happy to be here with you. I so much look forward to these times with you, these Wednesday afternoons with you, or maybe it's morning or middle of the night, middle of the day, wherever you're at. You're so welcome here. And I'm so grateful that you're here. Today, I get to talk about a topic that is very dear to my heart. It is a topic that I have thought a lot about, that I have worked personally with very much, read books about, and have played with the idea of having a course around this for quite a while. So if you at the end of this Q&A are interested in doing a course around self-care, let me know, and I will keep thinking about it. Okay, loves. So I invite you to do a check-in with yourself. I know I need it right now. I feel a bit nervous here in my heart. And I need to take a few deep breaths. So I invite you to do the same with me. And I invite you to notice what it feels like when you take that deep breath out. Maybe sighing. For me, I notice my shoulders relaxing. And I also feel that fluttery feeling I had in my heart and my chest. It's not there as much anymore. Okay, so the question was, how do I know what self-care practices are good for me? And which ones should I do? Well, there's an easy answer to the second one, and that is that I can't tell you which ones you should do. Because self-care is something very individual. Self-care is something that you learn to know what works for you. And there are thousands of people on the internet telling you this is a good self-care practice, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, this is what you should eat, this is what you shouldn't eat. These exercises are the ones that you should do, these ones you shouldn't do, and so on, and so on, and so on. And also, these are the kind of thoughts that you should think. And I really want to make a point of that, because that's something that I have worked with as well. This idea that positive thoughts are so helpful. And sometimes they are. Affirmations certainly have a place in healing, but not if they are used as bypassing an uncomfortable experience that needs to be felt. Not if you are bypassing healing trauma. In that case, it can actually do more harm than good. So how do we know then what self-care practices are good for us? Sometimes it's trial and error. Sometimes we try something out and we either feel, oh, this feels really good, or nah, this doesn't work at all for me. I've tried thousands, maybe not thousands, okay, hundreds of different kinds of practices, different kinds of meditations, different kinds of yoga, different kinds of diets, what else? Different kinds of physical exercise practices, And some I've done for a while and they worked great. And then all of a sudden, it's time to change. And I think that is also an important point in this discussion, because there's this idea that you will find the right self-care practice and that's going to work for the rest of your life. And I don't think that is true, because we change. And as we change, as we evolve, as we heal, as we expand, our needs change. We come from a different place in ourselves, and self-care will look different. So I'm curious what your self-care practice is right now. And I realize I need to address what self-care practice is, if this is not something that you're familiar with. Self-care practices can be, for example, doing meditation, noticing what food you feel good eating, taking time for yourself, just being with yourself, maybe not doing anything, taking time to sit and draw, taking time to watch a funny movie or a funny clip on YouTube or Instagram to get you to laugh. It can also be different kinds of self-pleasure practices. And by self-pleasure practices, they might be sexual practices. They might be just caressing your hand, like what I just did right before I jumped onto this call. I put hand cream on my hands. And I sometimes spend a little extra time just feeling as I put the cream into my hand, noticing how good that feels. A self-care practice can also be trying different ways of setting boundaries that are good for you. Because that's a huge topic in and of itself, setting healthy boundaries. That is a part of self-care. That is a part of caring for ourselves. Because so many of us are used to, especially women, like me, growing up in a Swedish culture. Many women in the Western culture, we were taught to take care of other people before taking care of ourselves, making sure other people's needs are met before our own. So there's a big shift that we need to make here, because I truly believe that if you want to help other people, you have to help yourself first. You have to make sure that you are, as you say, giving from a full cup. If you are giving from an empty cup, which I have done so much, it's going to deplete your energy. And it is very likely that if you keep doing it, it might lead to burnout. It might lead to chronic fatigue. It might lead to severe stress, severe fatigue. And sometimes it's seen as taboo, prioritizing ourselves first. It's seen as being egoistic. Is that a word? Is that the word in English? Egoistisk. I think you know what I mean, right? That it's selfish. And I believe that it's the least selfish thing that you can do. Because when you take care of yourself, you come from a much better place when you relate to others. And you're able to give support to others from a much better, much filled, much more balanced place in yourself. And so I invite you to just imagine that if you prioritize other people before yourself, and you give and you give and you give and you give, one thing that tends to happen is that we try and figure out what the other person needs. Maybe not always asking. And there is so much space for I don't want to say getting it wrong, but not actually knowing what the other person wants. Instead of asking them, hey, what do you need? And also asking yourself, am I ready to give this to the other person? So imagine giving from that place of, oh, I have to figure out what everybody else wants, and I have to make sure that they have this and they have that, they have food, they have comfort, or whatever it is. And imagine doing that from a place where you've given yourself exactly what you need. You've given yourself rest. You've given yourself pleasure. You've given yourself the time and space that you need to feel good, and giving from that space instead. You see the difference? The first place is a bit stressful, at least for me. And the other place is giving from a place of, oh, I feel good and I want you to feel good as well. And I also want to get back to this whole thing of exercise, because I heard this really interesting research that had been done on rats. And they wanted to find out if there was a difference between what the effect of exercise was if they did it because they wanted to, or if they were forced to do it. And what they found out was that the rats that did it because they really wanted to, they tread on that wheel, they got all the positive effects of exercising. Lower blood pressure, less stress, less problems with the cardiovascular system, and all kinds of different parameters that I don't remember right now. But the rats that were forced to do it, they didn't get these benefits. And I think that's really interesting, because we sometimes try and figure out what self-care looks for us by reading in other places. Like reading, what does the research say? How long should I exercise? What kind of exercise is good for me? What food should I eat? What does the research say about that? What are people saying? What are people recommending? Instead of listening to ourselves. And I'm not saying that research is no good. There is absolutely brilliant research out there. And I think what we need to do is to take the information from research and ask ourselves, does this work for me? Because when you do research, the information you receive is general, right? It works for the general population. And there will always be exceptions. There will always be people that, yes, it works really well for, and there will be people that, it might work, but they need to tweak it, right? So I think the biggest tip I will give you on finding what self-practice to do, what works best for you, is to trust yourself, to listen to your intuition. And I know I've talked about this before, and if you want to work more on getting better at listening to your intuition, you can download a free PDF where you have all kinds of different exercises around getting better at listening to your intuition that you can access in the link in my bio on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm not sure if it's there, but you can head over to my account on Instagram and you'll find it there. Because ultimately, you are your own expert. You are the one that will know better than anyone else the effect of self-practices on you. The effect of what food is good for you, what food your body feels really good eating, what kind of exercise brings you joy, what kind of other practices, maybe yoga, maybe meditation, that feels really good doing it. And on that note, I also want to mention why doing some form of yoga or meditation or breath work or something else, why doing something like that is useful is because it helps us regulate our nervous system. And why do we want to do that? Well, many of us live in a state of more or less stress in our body. And stress in the short run can be a good thing health-wise, but in the long run it has a lot of negative effects, both on the physical body and on mentally and psychologically. And so what we want to do is we want to do practices that help our nervous system go into what's called the parasympathetic. And that is when the part of the nervous system that is engaged, that is supporting us to feel relaxed. It supports to lower your heart rate. It lowers the stress hormones in your body. It helps sleep. It allows for more feelings like joy, love, happiness, compassion. That is actually a really big one. And I think that's super important because we need to have so much compassion with ourselves when we're doing this. And that's hard to access if we're stressed, if we are engaged in what is called the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that is engaged when we feel threatened, when we need to either fight, we need to flee, or go into freeze or fawn. And that part of the nervous system disengages that part that is able to feel compassion. And it's easier when we're in that state to reach out to, oh, I should do these exercises. I should eat this. I should do this meditation. I should do this form of yoga or other spiritual practice. And there I want you to notice the word should. Because if you start, or if you're using that word, oh, I really should do this or that, I invite you to ask yourself the question, do I really want to do that? And what would it feel like if I said, I really want to do this? And notice what happens in your body. If you feel that, ooh, no, I don't want to, then you know, not something for you. Or maybe it is something for you. Maybe you feel, oh, yeah, I really want to. Because we can get inspiration from outside sources. We can get inspiration from other people saying what is a good self-practice. We can get inspiration from research. The important thing, and what I really want to invite you to do, is to check in with yourself. How does that land in me? How does that feel for me? Okay, loves, let's see. I'm going to check in to see if there's anything else. Yeah. It's the self-compassion piece. And I've talked about a book by a brilliant woman called Tara Brach, and it's called Self-Compassion. No, it's not. It's called Radical Compassion. That's a beautiful, beautiful book if you are interested in learning more about how to be compassionate with yourself. So I'm going to leave you with this, and if you have any follow-up questions, send me a DM, and if you want more tips on how to heal, transform fatigue so that you can feel alive again, sign up to my newsletter, and you will be the first to know of any courses that I'm having, any other free offerings, or when I open up new spaces for coaching or other fun stuff. And also, of course, tips, ideas, and practices that are supportive for your journey. So let's finish with 3 integrating breaths. Taking a deep breath in through your nose and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out, and noticing what that feels like to allow the out breath to be a little bit longer. And one last time, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, beloved. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.